Welcome to the Release Your Blocks podcast. I am your host, Victoria Bond. I am a spiritual empowerment coach. I help teach others to show up to their potency so they can fulfill their mission here on earth. I'm so glad you are here. And if you are interested in becoming a medium, if you're interested in becoming a life coach, or if you're interested in shifting your life from the 3D to live more in the 5D reality, then check me out, book a clarity call, and let's get chatting. Hey guys, welcome to today's episode of Release Your Blocks. I'm Victoria Bond, and before we dive into today's episode, I just want to tell you that this is an interview that we recorded over a year and a half ago with Marlene Cronin, and it's all about light language. So Marlene Cronin is an absolute incredible medium, a guide, a mentor, and she does a lot of light language. So you can find her on YouTube. She does many lives on YouTube with light language. And what I really wanted to do was to get her on Facebook so I could share with my audience about light language and answer any of the questions that they had. So this was a really cool interview that we did. And I just thought, I really wanted to share it with you guys as well, not so it just gets lost somewhere on Facebook from a year and a half ago. So I decided to repurpose this. There are so many people that are asking me about what light language is. Is it speaking in tongues? Where are the, how are we channeling it? What planets is it coming from? All of those types of things. And I myself do light language, but if it wasn't for Marlene Cronin, I really don't think that I would have had the confidence to start doing it with my clients, within my programs and my groups, and really be implementing it in my life. So I personally had a reading with Marlene Cronin a few years back now, and it was a fantastic reading. And she really did encourage me to utilize the light language that was coming through. And she really she normalized it, so she didn't make it like it was some kind of woo-woo crazy thing. She was just like, this is speaking in energy and this is what you do. So it's your time to shine and, share it with the world. So I will be forever grateful for Marlene Cronin and her mentoring when it came to expressing my own light language. So if you want to know more about this, you can go check out the notes and you can find Marlene's all of her details there. Go find her on YouTube. She's got a Facebook and an Instagram and all of those things. And if you want to know more about my Magnificent Mediumship program, which is just being launched in January, so it's super exciting, it's starting then, please feel free to contact me. You can see that there's actually a Calendly link down there as well. If you want to see if you're a fit, then feel free to book a call-in. This is the first beta run that I'm going through with it, so it's very reasonably priced. We will be really diving deep into so many things, and we will also be talking about light language and channeling. So with that being said, I'll let you get into today's episode, and looking forward to hearing from you soon. Bye.
Thank you for joining us. Well, I've even been noticing the energy here lately. I usually have 2 coffees, but 2 is just too much for me now. It's making me shaky. I'm losing the plot. It's just too much with all the energy that's going on. So, there was something I was going to ask you about.
Food, I'm changing. I mean, I was the biggest chocoholic you could ever meet. Honestly, chocolate was my thing. Now I can't. Now it's like very small amounts of it, and it's like it just tastes wrong. It doesn't taste as pleasurable as it used to, and sometimes I'll force myself to keep eating it. No, it'll change, it won't. So I think our bodies are definitely being attuned as well. So it's like foods that we would have enjoyed, they don't, like bread for me as well, just started to smell strange.
Yeah.
When I take it out of the cupboard to eat it, it's like it just smelt off. So then I just stopped eating bread as well. So it's like they're taking away all my happy foods.
Yeah, I've had to stop eating wheat as well. Wheat really upsets me. I just end up with I've ended
Yeah.
up with eczema all over my body this year. I've ended up with food intolerances. It's like, what? And
Yeah.
heightened, everything's heightened. The senses, like, I've had like tons of spirit the last 24 hours, just like pop, 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 crack, crack, crack. Songs, and I'm like, oh my God, like, come on, guys, I've got to be human at the same time.
Definitely. I was actually having this
Yeah.
conversation with another light worker or light warrior, and she was saying that all she has the energy for is the mundane, like doing her laundry, and I said, but it's the mundane that grounds us in. Because when we're doing all this work in the astral, or even just in our everyday lives now, the energy is going out of us to other people to lift them up. Doing these chores is what keeps us kind of grounded in these bodies, and sometimes that's all you're able for, just to sweep the floors, and that should be enough some days. I woke up yesterday just bone tired. There was no reason for it. It was like I ran a marathon, and I know when that happens, then I've been doing a lot in my dream time. Because a lot of people will message me and say, oh, you were in my dream last night, you were giving me healing, you were taking me out of this place, you were bringing me to that place. And I was like, okay, no wonder I'm tired when I wake up then, because our physical bodies are trying to keep up with our light bodies, and they're trying to integrate together, but we need to take care of our physical bodies. Otherwise, we don't have much to work with.
Oh, that's because it's 9 o'clock at night and I'm on like 10 coffees. No, just kidding.
Oh no! If it was 9 o'clock at night, you'd be looking at a totally different animal. If you were looking at me at 9 o'clock at night.
The energies. I had a lavender bath actually. I had to have a lavender bath to calm down because today we have had armed policemen in our little town here in New Zealand. We've had the water's all brown, so the whole town, which we've only got like a few thousand, everybody's like, rah! So the amount of anger and fear that's going on in this energy, I'm like, for goodness sakes. And I'm like, oh, return to sender. Everyone's so mad. Just going back to that being tired thing, what I've done is I've been teaching people, to tap their thymus. Do you teach? That really helps to balance that kind of body and being, eh?
Yeah, I just find myself naturally doing that if I'm kind of freaking out. Or if I have clients, I'll just say, look, just tap there, or even just where it feels good on the neck there, just to tap that to bring a bit of balance in. Because tapping is phenomenal. Tapping is really, really good.
Yes.
I taught that to my daughter as well. And she was coming home for a while. She's 13. And she was coming home for a while and she was saying, I hate maths. Do you call it maths or mathematics where you were?
Yeah.
I hate maths. And I said, no, you don't mind maths. You don't mind maths. Yeah, okay, all right. I don't mind maths. I get on great with maths. So she came in the following day and she said, Mom, I had to do a pop quiz on Irish. And she said, I started to do, I don't mind Irish. Me and Irish get on great. And she was doing this. And she said, Mom, guess what? I didn't have to do the test. The teacher just, I don't know, didn't see her or passed her by or whatever. And she didn't have to do the test. So she was like, yes, but it's putting it into her hands because I'm not always going to be around, when she struggles, or it's just giving her the tools to help herself out.
Yeah, and that's the thing I think, and what I want to talk to you today about children as well, because as you know, it's quite a big passion of mine, and I have them, as do you. And all these kids with allergies and all this type of stuff, and even me, like I said, I've got like rash on my body, and we've got these kids that have got these intolerances to the wheat and the dairy and all this stuff, and all these gut issues. And I mean, I don't really have an opinion, but I'm kind of like tapping in thinking it's obviously, to me, energetic. I mean, these kids, their abilities are just off the charts. It's just like a next level.
I work with reflexology and pregnant women as well. I've stopped taking on clients. It's just clients that have been coming to me for years. And I know just by working on them, the women that are going to have these high vibe, sparkly babies, that are coming in hot, like with the energy. And I'll try to explain it to them because normally they're very high vibe themselves anyway. But 9 times out of 10, those children have come in very, very healing, very, very strong in who they are on the autistic spectrum, which I think is just our labels for kids that don't want to follow the norms that we have put down. You know, when you think of a lot of the children on the spectrum, it's like sit in a classroom for 6 hours. That's not going to, you know what I mean? That's not
I
realistic
can't
for a
even
lot
do
of
that.
children. No.
Yeah.
So we have these amazing children that are forcing us in a way to change how we educate. It's like
Mm-hmm.
smaller hours, more play, more interaction with plants, and fantastic kid. And the mother had to really, really fight to get him into a school that is more suitable to his needs. And like he plants, you know, like tomatoes, and he paints, and there's a little bit of time spent on developing the writing and whatever, but the whole day is mostly creative. And he's absolutely thriving. Where when he was in the mainstream school, he cried every day. He showed signs of being, you know, a bold or naughty child, and he wasn't. It was just this restriction of memorize these facts, sit in one place. He didn't come in here to do that. He came in here to innovate and change. And I think we have to kind of change this whole labeling, ADHD and all that. You know, it's just children that can't, you know, sit still and listen in the way that we've been taught to do it. Remember how boring school was, sitting there for hours, and at one point you would just check out and go somewhere else in your mind.
I was always
That,
out the window, looking out the window.
yeah. My sister, she was an amazing daydreamer. So she would just look out the window and she would get the thing of then, why can't you be more like your sister? Which was awful because I was a nerd. Yes, miss, I was one of those children. But I just think, especially I have a son he's going into his last year in secondary school now. And he's a really healthy kid, never gets sick. And since he went back to school, he's had, if this is too much information, I apologize, but he's had diarrhea. He's going to the bathroom at least 3 times before he goes to school. He won't eat breakfast now in case it stimulates him when he's in school and he has to use the bathroom in there. His sinuses are just like for weeks, and he has a cough. And I know it's stress. I know it's because he's such a healthy kid. And it's so frustrating. It's just they're in there for 6 hours and then they get piled with all this work when they go home. Where's the time to kind of relax and dream and be creative? And we expect these 17-year-old kids to know what they want to do with the rest of their life. We're robbing ourselves because they're our future, you know what I mean? They're our innovators. It frustrates me. My middle child is in what we call here 4th year, which is basically a year to chill out, learn Chinese,
I'm a 4th year.
do robotics, that kind of thing. And the difference between him and the other two sandwiching him, he's so chilled, he's happy to go to school, he's happy to come home. Imagine if all the years were like 4th year. You know, it would. That's my thing. I just think cramming their brains with too much information just is pointless to me. I don't know.
Yeah, but it definitely is changing. And what I did, I don't know if you've seen, but my friend Regina and I, a couple of weeks ago, 2 weeks today, we did the very first youth bars practitioner class in New Zealand. So we had 16 children learning how to run bars, but also how to tap into, ask questions of the universe. And the first thing we said to them was like, what is your superpower? And what if there's nothing wrong with you? And a little boy actually said, there's something wrong with me because he's ADHD. And I said, but what if that's your superpower? Because there's nothing wrong with you. You're amazing. And that boy ran bars perfectly. That boy was chilled the whole time. And these 16 children, at the very end, we said to them, it was about tapping into the universe, and it was about expanding their energy and dropping barriers and using their magic and, all that type of stuff. And we said to them, how many of you think this stuff is a bit weird? And they all went like this. And I said, how many of you guys think this is like totally like normal? And they all put their hand up. And like, if we have adults in the class, they look at you like, this shit is whacked, man. And I had to do energy clearings on the adults, and we said, look, guys, any adults that have any expectations of their children who blah 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 blah, can we please just leave that at the door? We did some energy clearings on that, and then we said to the children who are willing to be naughty, and Regina and I put our hands up, and we were like, right, we want you to be naughty. And so we were just messing with them, but we were just being us and real, because these kids are absolutely everything, and they're amazing. And like I sent you a video about a year ago of my daughter doing light language, and and so here I am, just kind of going into light language. Sorry, I'm a very dynamic. So this is Marlene Cronin. She is from Ireland, and I'm Victoria, if you don't know me. And Marlene gave me a reading possibly like 3 years ago. It was actually quite a while ago. And what she actually said to me was, if I could just reach through this computer and throttle you. And I was like, okay. And she's like, Victoria, as a few other mediums had said, come on, what are you doing? And so now I'm doing it, which is really great. So she's a medium as well. But going back to light language, Marlene does this incredible stuff on YouTube called light language, which we'll go into soon. But it's kind of like singing and chanting, kind of in a different language. It's definitely nearly like a channel, I suppose it is a channel. And it is very healing. I was running bars yesterday, and I turned it on while I was running bars for someone. I said, I'm just going to put Marlene on YouTube. And I had to message Marlene one day, and I sent her a video of my daughter Adelaide, who had an umbrella, and it was spinning around, and she was singing this beautiful kind of like, my friend Yvonne said, it sounds like fairy music. And sent it to Marlene, and Marlene said, yes, that is definitely light language. And I find myself, I've done it my whole life, I'll be in the shower and all the stuff just starts coming out, or I'll be around the house and I feel love, and I open my heart, and all of a sudden I'm like, what am I? And I'm like, I'm just a bit crazy. And then I found Marlene and went, oh.
I'm not crazy.
I found someone else that's crazy.
Exactly.
It's more common than we actually think it is. I just think we probably don't give it the credit that it deserves.
It's definitely flooding in at the moment. Like, I'm 46 now, and it started with me when I was only 14. And there was nobody that I knew that was doing it. I know people speak in tongues, but the way that a lot of people say, why is light language? How is it different from tongues? With tongues, you have the same language all the time. Like, my dad speaks tongues. His tongues now is the same as it was 30 years ago. With light language, it changes. You have a core kind of an essence to it, but it changes, and it lifts in frequency, and you open yourself to more and more of the different kind of I'm going to go totally woo on you here now, Victoria, but when you think of like a starseed energy, I believe that we lived when you think time is simultaneous, so everything is happening at the same time. That's how I see things. So other lives are not past lives, they're present lives, they're just on a different frequency, on a different dimension. And I find that we have lived on other planets as well. And the frequency of that planet is what comes through with the light language, the one that you resonate the most with. It's a soul language, it's the language of your heart. So everybody has it, everyone can be activated to it. I'm not special, I'm only different in that I've spent 32 years living with it, honing it. And in the past 2 years, it's when it's become more public for me, because it's a very private thing. And when Spirit were asking me to go on my page and speak light language, if they had told me to bare my breasts, it probably would have been easier for me. Because light language, there's no explanation for it. And people see you doing it and they're like, what the? But it's amazing and it's incredible. And then they prompted me to put up YouTube. I was like, are you serious? My husband was like, Mar, you're really putting yourself out there now if you go up on YouTube. And I was like, look, that's what they want me to do. So I put it up, and then slowly as well, that really gained traction with lots of people wanting to know what it was. But I do feel in the past few years, it's really, really accelerated. Like 2 years ago, I found someone online that speaks it, and there was maybe a handful. Now, if you look up light language activation or transmission or whatever, you have a lot of people on. And a lot of people say to me they get activated by watching my videos. So, like you, I'll have lots of people sending me, "Is this it?" And they'll send me their little,
Oh, I'm not special.
their little videos of, they're singing it or they're chanting it, or they'll send me because it can come through symbols as well. So you can have light language, like written code, and they'll send me that, or they'll send me, they're doing the movements, it's coming through the hands. And it's just to reassure them, yeah, this is it. And then they'll say, okay, what do I do with it? So I'm like, it's your medicine. It's your medicine first. So if you're a healer and you want to go out and do it in the world, you have to live with it for a while. I see a lot of people and they're really eager and they get activated and they want to work with people immediately. But if you're going out with other people like that and you haven't integrated it and felt what it does in your own body, you're not going to be much good to other people then. If you're not wanting to work as a healer, it's amazing to use with your children. My daughter, if she's very stressed, she'll say, "Mom, will you do your hooga booga with me?" That's what she calls it. And the way I work is that I can extract by using it. So I will hold the intention of removing her stress, and then I will speak the light language, and then there'll be a big release of sound. And then she'll say, "It's gone, I feel great." So it is really powerful. You can say it over your plants, your animals. You can say it over a situation. I always say, like, hold the situation in your hands, no matter what it is, and speak the light language into it. It's coded. It's heavily light coded. It's the technology. So people say, "What are you saying? What planet is that from?" And I never label it. I do have an instinct a lot of the time, but labeling it limits it, and trying to understand it with the logical mind is a mistake. It's meant to be felt by the body, by the heart, and that's where the codes go in. You can't understand it, but you feel better, or you feel it in certain parts of your body. Fear starts to drop away from you. You feel expanded. You feel in your own energy. It's freaking amazing.
No, it's great. I've actually been finding when I've been doing healings on people, I just feel like, oh, it's just sitting there, just wanting to like pop out over the person. And I was doing a Reiki session on one of my clients, and I said to her, "Have you heard of light language? Have you heard of Marlene?" And she's like, "No." And I went, "Okay, I'll send you something after this, because I just really want to do it, but I won't do it because I don't want to freak you out."
But you know what now? You know what I found, Victoria, is at the beginning I was very conscious of freaking people out. And before I'd do a session, I'd give this big spiel. But people are really, really cool about it. Even the way I do it, which is very like the Green Mile. So it's like I'm pulling stuff out and I'm like, and I'm like, and there's a lot to it. But people were so cool. What happens with me is that, like, if the thing that freaks people out with me is that if there's a lot of buried sadness, I would cry. And then when we're done, they're like, "Oh my God, that sounded so sad. It sounded just like me on the inside. Are you okay?" But that's the only thing that freaks people out. The light language itself, people really go into a deep zone with it, and they feel very. Like, I had a lady last night, she said it felt like a hypnagogic state at the end. She felt just so mellowed out. So I wouldn't hold myself back that way, Victoria. If you're feeling the push, I feel as well all it expand and heighten modalities like Reiki. I feel that's the next level, and it comes in really, really strong, and it amplifies any modality that you have. In my experience, because I've done every healing modality you can think of besides IET, and the light language is always what comes through. It's always the energy that pushes through these other modalities. So if you're finding that it's coming through, I would let loose.
Yeah, and it kind of goes hand in hand with because I'm a medium who feels, so I mean, we all feel, but my first thing is feel. So I feel it, I feel my heart open, I feel the emotions, and I'm not generally an emotional person. So I know
Yeah.
when I'm crying to a song and that song belongs to this person. And I've had quite a few experiences, especially the last few days. I had a break off mediumship for a couple of weeks because my body was doing some stuff recently. And boom, it's just come flying in the last couple of days, and I can't help it but come and do live readings, message people. I've been doing 5 readings a day, and I did one for my friend the other day, and you could feel it. Then there was a song, and then there's the ear popping, then there's a visual, then there's the knowing, then all that type of stuff. So I feel that
primarily clairsentient. That's me as well. So you'll feel everything first, and that's beautiful, Victoria. That's really powerful when you start to understand what they're showing you in your body. You know,
then that light language comes in. Oh, it's so good. And I think a lot of people don't do it.
So I would say to that a lot of people haven't heard of it. I didn't hear of it, believe it or not, and I was doing it for 31 years. And I used to sit in front of readers and I used to say, please help me. And I would cry in front of them. And they'd say, look, you're a trance medium. You should be doing the work. And I'm like, I'm not a fucking trance medium. I am a trance medium, but I knew it wasn't a trance thing. And it was only, I used to do a lot of research on my computer. And it was only when, just by chance, somebody popped up speaking it. And I remember running around the room, oh my God. And I ran out and got my husband, and it was like Christmas Day in my heart, because I could see somebody else and they gave me a label for it, because I love labels. And it was like, oh, okay, it's light language. This is what it is. It was a respectable label that other people were using. And then it just took off. But Galen, a lot of people haven't heard of it because it's, you know, it's something that's flooding in at the moment. And you're going to see a lot more of it. People like Victoria will start to use it in their work, and then she'll activate other people, and it will go on like that. I will do an activation at the end if Victoria's up for it. Maybe Victoria can join in. But there's just this energy of spirit wanting to give us back to ourselves. But what it does is it starts to, when we start speaking it and singing it, it starts to open it up for other people as well. The frequency starts going out there, and then children will start speaking it. I think babies come in hot, blah, 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 with all the babbling, they're already speaking it. And they're already clearing us, and that's why we feel so relaxed around babies, because they're already healing us, and then we beat it out of them with A, B, C, D. And you know, we kind of knock it out of them. But I have a lot of ladies in the 60s coming to me that are remembering singing in the garden or in the fields with the flowers and whatever, and being told, don't be silly, you know, and they stopped doing it, but now they're doing it again in their 60s, and they're finding that new abilities are starting to come online. And, you know, I just think if you haven't heard of it, you will soon.
Just like mediumship or anything else like that, it's like you think, oh, I don't know how to talk to spirit, I've never done it, and then all of a sudden you go, oh, that's right, I had that imaginary friend when I was little. Oh, and I just recently remembered that I used to see all these little lights in my room. I used to have all these little lights in the room, and I was 4 years old. I'd go to mum and dad's room and go, can I please like sleep in here? And they'd be like, go back to your room. And I'd be like, but I can see the lights. And they're like, it's just from shutting your eyes after looking at the light. And I'm like, okay. And I thought that for years. And now I'm like, holy shit. I've always, and it wasn't until I had my daughter, my first daughter, which was nearly 7 years ago. And I started getting the crackles and the pops. And I was up all night long, wired with the choruses going over and over and over and over. Yeah. It took me so free. And that's why for a job now, I like to, I facilitate people about the spiritual stuff. So then they have an understanding that the signs of synchronicities that I told Luke, my husband, a story before, and he goes, how about my friend and what we went through in the last couple of days with a whole lot of spiritual stuff coming through for her from a loved one. And he goes, I'm just amazed how you put that together with the song and the birds and the name, because someone came to me that day as the same name as her loved one. Like, it's a puzzle. And once
Yeah,
you know
it
how
is.
you
It is.
can bring it.
Yeah. It's a puzzle. It's amazing. I just looking at Rael there. She said her 2-year-old draws into the air with her hands before going to bed. It's beautiful to watch. That's gorgeous, Rael, because she's bringing that energy into your home as well, and she's clearing her space naturally, which again is phenomenal. You know, she's clearing her space and clearing her own energy before she goes to sleep. So that's what I mean. That the children, if we leave them be, will do more for us for healing and clearing our spaces than any doctor could, because they know these technologies. They come in remembering, you know, which most children do. But like it is kind of by the age of 4, mostly it's knocked out. Like I used to see people at the end of my bed, and I'm showing my age now, but do you know Star Trek with Beam Me Up Scotty, where they'd all kind of go this related thing? That's what I'd see at the end of my bed. I'd see groups of people like pixelated, and I'd think, oh, that's like Beam Me Up Scotty. Spirit are very kind as well with children. They'll give them a visual that feels comforting, but sometimes they don't. And I know I get a lot of people reaching out. I'm sure you do too. My child is freaking out. She's not comfortable in her room, or he's not comfortable in his room. He's seeing spirit. And as an adult, before I realized that I was mediumistic, I used to suffer panic. I would go into a crowded space and I'd feel clenched in my gut, or, you know, I'd feel like I couldn't breathe. And surprisingly enough, bookshops affected me the most. When I'd go into bookshops and I'd start looking at books, after a while I'd start to feel really faint, and would have to gather myself that, okay, it's okay, you'll get home, you'll get home, you'll get home. And I know my 2 younger children hate going into town. They don't like all the people. They don't like the smoke, the cigarette smoke. And I know that children like that they feel the energy, or they'll feel the energy of relatives or friends. So do you know like I know when I was younger, I would start crying and I would get very red in the face if I was around jangly people or angry people. And if they're relatives, then you'd be told, stop being stupid, cop yourself on, or whatever. But a lot of children will naturally move away from adults that haven't got their shit together, or are angry under the surface. Especially those children on the spectrum, they will just fucking run away. And I think we have to be more sensitive to that, and not the sort of be an obedient child and do what's socially acceptable. It has to be, okay, you're not feeling it, go on off to your room, or go out and play. You don't have to hug your uncle if you don't want to. You know, that kind of way. I would constantly say that with my own children. You know, do what feels okay. If you want to hug your aunt, you hug your aunt. If you just want to say hi, that's fine too. You don't have to give the energy exchange if you don't want to. You know, it's very important, because we've been groomed to be very socially obedient, especially as children. Respect your aunt, kiss your granddad on the lips. Do you know what I mean? These kind of things that children, they mightn't be okay with. They might feel that's too much energy going out. And what I would say to the people that reach out that their children are sensing spirit, I will usually give them a kind of a ritual to use in the room where they command the space. So you can go around like with a drum and or a pot and a pan and like a wooden spoon, and make it fun, and go around the room and say, you know, only loving beings are welcome here. Only angels are welcome here. Anyone else has to go. And make it that the child is in control. What I usually say as well is selenite wands. If they like Harry Potter or angels, and they can use the selenite wand to kind of clear their space. You know what I mean?
I do exactly that with the kids I work with. Exactly. Yeah. I give them a wand and I go in to do my energy clearings. Usually I say to the parents, I always give the kids crystals to hold, and I go, right. I take my smudging stick and I check, I make it a big like thing with the kids, because I connect with kids really well, and I go, do you have a wand? So they get the wand and I go, only love and light lives in here. Only love and light lives in here. And I get them to do it. I do the whole section. And then I go, okay, guys, after we've done all that, and I'm talking about kids that are like they've got portals in their room and they're running and
Yeah.
they're running around,
Yeah.
freaking
Yeah.
out. And like
Yeah.
3-year-olds, I've been called at like 9 o'clock at night and all sorts. And then I've gone, okay, you guys stay here. I just want to go do some stuff myself. And I do some clearings and walk around my pendulum. And I've seen huge portals and stuff. And I'm like, no wonder that little girl was like jumping over that massive part. But by bringing the kids in and telling them about their superpowers, like my little girl, she had a little boy in her room. And then I asked my friend Karen, and I said, what do you sense in there? Just seeing what she'd say. And she goes, a little boy. And I was like, uh-huh. Yeah. And so what happened was my daughter comes into my room at midnight and says, there's a little boy, and he's really annoying me. He's tickling my toes or touching my head. And I go, oh, don't worry about him. Just go to sleep. I was like, he's not affecting me. An hour later, she goes, Mum, he's really annoying me. Can you tell him to go away? So this is like at midnight. And I was like, okay, go away. And in the morning, I go, is he still here? And she's like, yep. I went, okay, well, let's tell him to go. So we did this little thing, and I felt the resistance. And anyway, I did a big clearing, and we helped this little boy understand, A, he was dead, B, that there is somewhere else for him to go. And there's people, my ears are popping now. And it's because they just love it. They want to be cleared. They want to communicate. They want to contribute. Anyway, and my daughter, I just said to her, could you see him? And she goes, no. I go, could you hear him? She went, no. And I go, did you just know? And she went, yes. And I go, you're just like Mummy. You know. And don't you ever let anyone tell you that you're wrong, because I will hunt them down.
Yeah.
That's what I tell the other kids as well.
That's our job. Yeah, that's our job, because then they will pass it on. My daughter has normalized what I do completely for her friends. It's just, they're fascinated. They think it's great. My older boys are grudgingly very proud of me that I do this online, even though they do take the piss out of me about it. But the thing is, it's interesting that you said about the portal, because this lady reached out to me that she had built on a huge extension on her house. And in her daughter's new bedroom, she said you could go from the house and then you go into that and the temperature would drop. And she wasn't sleeping well and whatever. So from my home, because I don't need to be in the house to do it, I saw 2 portals, one right next to what I saw was a huge television, and one in another part of the room. And I said to the mother, is she watching horror films? And she said, she is. So I said, the horror films, if you can understand, is opening a portal for all kinds of gooey MacGooey to come through, right? And there was another one as well that I cleared up. So I cleared the energy of those and, sealed up the room and whatever. She told her daughter about the horror films, and she said, and the daughter was feeling it herself, that when she was watching these movies at night or whatever, the energy would change in the room. But there's been no problem since. The room is like warm and happy and vibrant, and the rest of the house changed energy as well. So what we're watching continually affects the energy as well. So when you're watching a horror movie and you're like this and you're clenched and then you're just it's changing your energy field. It's changing the messages you're sending to your cells, which is going to change your field. And you're plugging into all the other people who watched that movie who were scared shitless by it.
Yeah.
So if you're very sensitive, you get people that can watch horror movies and it's like my husband is like that. He can watch horror movies and it's over and he's like, do you want a cup of tea? I'm like, oh my God, imagine if that happened to me. Oh my God, I'm living it. So obviously I'm sensitive to all the other people that were freaked out by it as well. So as regards of children that way, you will have children that are very, very sensitive to things that I used to be very sensitive about ads where things would move right up to the screen. Do you remember The House on the Prairie?
Yeah,
my favorite. Laura Ingalls, right at the end of it, there was this like did, and she danced down. You scared the living shit out of me. She would jump up at the end, up into the screen, and I'd be under the table like that. And there was another ad for Royal Life or Insurance, and it would go from very far away right up to the screen, and it would freak me out. And it's just, I'm sorry, I'm being drawn into the comments, but it's just that we have to be aware that kids aren't being silly when they feel stuff like that. There's a reason why stuff is like impacting them, or smells or sounds, and we'll remember things like that because we're put in charge of these children, so they don't have to be freaked out or feel odd or feel different. We're supposed to empower them so that they can go on and take over the world. My daughter's very sensitive, so are my sons, but she's a different animal completely to what I was at her age, because I've made sure she is, that she feels this is normal, this is good. If I'm in the car with her and we go for spins, you know, she'll go, will you go for a spin? And we'll just drive for an hour. She has a playlist and she'll put on a song, and within 10 seconds she'll say, that's making you sad, I'm going to turn it off. And I wouldn't have said a thing, but it was making me sad. And they just tune in, and it's normal conversation then. You know, where I would have been afraid to say something like that when I was young, like the song is making you sad, because you'd get, no, it's not. You'd get denial. Do you know what I mean? Am I just babbling?
Yeah. No, absolutely, because I'm the same with my daughter. I would say to her, well, what do you know about that? What are you feeling? So I like to teach about conscious parenting and stuff. And for me, what that means is when my daughter asked if God was real the other day, I was like, fuck, talk about come out with the big one. I said to her, what do you know about that? I said, I'm not going to tell you what do you know. And I said, but I'm going to tell you one thing, sweetheart, and I want you to listen to me very well. Adults, most of them are wrong. So you go with your knowing, and you sometimes, just sometimes, maybe most of the time, you probably know more than the adults. So that little boy in your room, what do you think most adults would say? That it's not real? And I go, yeah, but you and I know different. And so does Daddy, and so does CJ, and so we know. So, and you know, the coolest thing about energy, because I just love, well, energy is everything. But if my husband went away for a week, and we're all really close. So the kids, he's just as much as a mum as I am. Like, we're really, you know, close family. And I say, do you miss Daddy? And they're like, yes. And I'm like, do you really miss Daddy? No. And if I go away, they don't miss me. And the reason for that is I've taught them to connect with his energy. So go, let's think of Daddy. Let's flow him energy. Now let's pull some energy from Daddy. So we're connected. So I was saying to one of my friends the other day, I haven't seen you for ages, but I don't miss you. No offense, because I just tap into you anyway. And she's like, yeah. So nice. I know you were okay because we're tapped in, because I'm checking in. So that is what we should be teaching in schools.
Absolutely and totally. And when you were saying earlier about, you know, you had those 16 kids and you were teaching them how to run bars, that's what we should be teaching them. We should be teaching kids how to be okay with, as you say, their superpowers, how to be okay with tuning into each other, especially boys. Oh my God. Like girls, from what my experience, girls will find this way of communicating their experiences or their needs. Boys, I find, even with my own sons, even though thank God they're really evolving now, there's still this sort of build-up that has to happen before they'll share what's going on with them. You know what I mean? And boys being sensitive. I know my eldest boy at one point, his friend took his own life when he was only 15, and it blew my boy open. It blew his energy wide open, because his friend was coming to me all the time to want to communicate with them. And I was in the car one day and I said, look, he really wants to communicate. It might be too much for you. It's just there if you want to connect with them. And I could see the emotions in his jaw, and he was really struggling with it. And then that night he came to me and he said, can we do it now? I was like, oh, I'll settle down on the couch, but whatever. So we came in and we had a great conversation, and he said all the rude and naughty things that he would have said to him anyway, which was weird for me because he was basically talking like a boy through me. But it's what my son needed. All of this like rude boy talk is what made my son realize, yes, that's him. But what happened to him afterwards, because he tapped into his friend, he opened up. And he was at a party, and it really started to open up. We started to see this grandmother collapsed by a rad. And what I found really, really hard from as a mother to deal with that situation is that the boy's mother, who ran the party, came to my 15-year-old boy, held his hands and cried into his face and said, "That's my mother, that's my mother. Please tell me more." I just thought there was just so much wrong with that, so much wrong with it. But he was freaked out, and it was like, then he was seeing what was going on with his friends who were depressed, and it was too much for him. And I said, "Look, it's okay to say it's too much. I'll help you rein that back, and we can just put it on pause for when you are ready." So I had to work with them with that, and then it stopped. And I said it to him a while back, because my husband is like, "You should be training them in to do what you do. They'd be amazing at it." But he said, no, thanks. Not right now. So he wasn't ready. I'm just going to read Galen's comment there. I totally agree. Galen has had a headache today and she was getting sad. I let her take off school and she felt so better. But if that happened to me, I was told to get over it and go to school. Yes. And I've often done that with my kids, and I'm sure Victoria has as well. It isn't that important at all, in my opinion.
Well, my daughter, she's had a tummy ache the last couple of days. So she's had maybe 2 days off. And I'm just like, well, okay. And she loves school. So the thing is, these kids, they tap into their parents' energies. They tap into their teachers' energies. They tap into their friends' energies. For goodness sakes, I talk to some kids on the spectrum, and I don't even talk to them. I just say hello in my head, and they look at me, and they're like, hello back. They perceive, and I mean, I've got this really cool, coming up in January, I've got this really cool program about perceiving, receiving, and releasing. And it's about all of that type of stuff, because the thing is, these children all perceive completely different. That's totally different subject. But
yeah, they're telepathic. And it's that.
Yeah, so to let your kid have a day off school, freaking high five, man.
Yeah, you're doing a good job. I mean, you're doing a good job. Forcing children, now children will take the piss as well and say, "Oh, I have a headache." But if you're tuned into them, you'll know what's bluff and what's coming from maybe, a mental health kind of a need day, because children get overwhelmed, and especially sensitive children. Like I said, if my children are saying, "Oh, that teacher's so annoying," I'm like, well, why? She's just really angry, and they're picking it up, and then it's like, like my husband used to come home for years, and he'd be like, "Oh my God, the people that he worked with, so moany, so complaining, so draining." And I started giving him a black tourmaline to carry in his pocket, and at start he was like, "Okay, Mar," but he started coming home, and he was like, he will not let that out of his pocket now. So if it's gone, he's like, "Where's my black stone? Where's my black stone?" So crystals are really good. And some people are really tuned into crystals. They're really connected to them. I find I can take very high vibrational stones, and they don't kind of affect me. I remember being so excited to buy moldavite because it's this freaking really high vibe, and I was like, I got a little bit of a buzz from it, but that was it. And then I had other people that would hold it. Yeah, the selenite is amazing.
I always have it next to, because I do a lot of work online, so this is my travel. Cheers.
I have that right next to me as well when I'm doing the work. And this one I love. It's like a little pet. This is my amethyst. I just love this. So I'll usually hold those before I'm connecting in, just to give me a bit of a charge. But the moldavite, there was people will hold the moldavite and have to give it back because it would feel like it was burning them. And then people would get really, really tranced out dreams. And it's really high vibe. So what I'm saying with that is that some crystals will pull you, and they'll feel like home. They'll feel familiar. Others will feel like electricity, and maybe you're just not ready for that vibration just yet. It's like friendships. That's what crystals are. They're friendships. They'll pull you, and they'll say, "Okay, I have something to give you," because you get a warm, fuzzy feeling. When I was on holidays, my husband came back from, I don't know, he went to the markets and he said, I was really drawn to this for you. And I was kind of like, another crystal in my head being such a bitch, but it was a rose quartz. And the minute I put it in my palm, I was like, it really felt good, you know? So it was like he was drawn to that for me, you know? Let's go to Ireland and visit Marlene, Victoria. Or am I going to leave? My husband's Kylie Wheeler. My husband's obsessed with Australia, so.
We're in New Zealand, Marlene.
Oh, New Zealand.
We're close.
That's really funny, right? Because when my husband was young, when he was a boy, his father got an opportunity to work in New Zealand, and his mother was a home bird, and she cut it off. And still to this day, he'll say, "Oh my God, I could have been living in New Zealand." And I said to him one night, my daughter was there. I said, "But you'd have never ever met me and had the kids." And he was like, he paused for too long, and my daughter was like, "Oh, thanks, Dad. Thanks very much. Thanks very much for that. You'd choose New Zealand over us." So that's funny now that you said that.
Oh, funny. I just wanted to say about I can't really see much of these some of these comments, but when you get a headache, a lot of people have been messaging me about headaches recently as well, and I always use the tool, who does it belong to? Return to sender with consciousness. It's one of the tools I use, and someone the other day, I can't remember who it was, but they said, "Oh my God, I've got such a headache," and I said, "Does it belong to you? Return to sender." And then she goes, "It's gone." So quite often our children, it's a really good tool to use with the kids as well, because when they say, "Who does it belong to?" then it's like, it's just putting that question out there is enough to create the awareness. Because I totally love what you say about not limiting. And that's also what I teach as well, about if someone talks about the star seeds and this and this and this, which, I mean, I find people and I go, "Starseed, been waiting for you." But one of my friends who I'm collaborating right now, I said, "I've been waiting for you." And she's like, "Oh," and she was like, "Palladian." And I was like, "Oh," but I don't go there too much though, because
it can be a bit too woo for people, you know. Rael is known there where in New Zealand you are, because she lives in New Zealand as well.
Oh, I'm in Inglewood in the North Island, actually, in New Plymouth. So yeah, it's real interesting, because people ask me questions about you know, you get it as well, tons of stuff. And I always say, I'm just doing a workshop at the moment called Inner Self-Awareness. It's a 4-week block course, and I've got like 20 people coming. It's amazing. And they ask me questions and I say, "I'm not going to tell you. I'm sorry. I don't want to limit you." And that's what you do with your readings as well. And so do I. We don't tell the future, so to speak.
Yeah.
Because
I just put up a post on it the other day. I'm not a fortune teller. Somebody actually in a reading was really, really insistent in a way that they expected me to be a fortune teller. And I was like, I can only give you the highest timeline. I can give you that, and I can show you what Spirit is showing me that will guide you onto that path. But you ultimately can decide when the reading's over, what a load of shit. You can walk away from it, or you can say, you know, I need to do this, that, and the other, and off you'll go, and you'll light up on that path. But this thing of, you know, I don't do those kind of readings. I do a soul dive. I find out where you are. I will get things from your past and stuff that are affecting you now, but I'm not the type of reader that will tell you your husband is cheating, or your mother is going to move to America. No, I don't go into those kind of details.
I'm not allowed to. I think we probably could, but I actually get told that I'm not allowed to.
Yeah, I had one very strange reading where this lady, now this is a long time ago, but she booked a reading, and I could tell immediately she was cheating on her husband. And she gave her husband the baby and sat down and basically asked me, was basically asking me, should she leave her husband for her lover, who had got cold feet and was thinking of going back to his wife. I remember sitting here kind of going, what the fuck? You just gave the baby to your husband. You want me to tell you, yeah, you should leave that lovely guy. And you'll get people that will do that. You'll get people that will come on and want you to tell, or is my husband cheating? Is he going to cheat on me again? You know what I mean? If you're asking those questions, then there's a good chance they are, because the trust is dead and buried anyway. And I find those kind of readings very sticky. Very sticky. I'm trying to guide them into their own awareness, their own knowing, but those readings can get very sticky. And what I feel about that is that when I was younger, I could feel that kind of stuff in other people that they weren't showing to others. And that can be very, very overwhelming for a child. And what you'll find as well is that when you're sensitive, people will say things like, oh, you're so mature for your age. And they'll dump shit on you that you're not actually emotionally ready for. You might like project that you are. And I've had that done to me as a child, and it's traumatic. You know, they will dump the adult stuff on you, and it's like, what the
Dr. Phil always says, do not give children adult problems.
But it's just something to be mindful of, because the same way that there is so many high vibe and conscious people, you know, waking up and whatever, there are not as well. And there are people that will see
it's kind of like that polarity, do you think? Like it's nearly like some people, it's like everything. I put a post on my group the other day and I said, how did everyone sleep with the moon? Half of the people were like, oh my God, I was wide awake. And the other people went, I slept like crazy. And I was like, even the sleep, the polarity is even stronger. But people are messaging me and they're saying, I'm so close to going on antidepressants. I've got such high this, I'm suicidal. And I'm just like, hold on, like, just hold on, because it's like the polarity, but half the time they don't realize it. They're so gifted, but the energy is intense. And if I didn't know better a few weeks ago, I would have thought, I remember messaging my friends a couple of weeks ago and saying, hey, I am like on this freaking roller coaster. My body is doing this. I'm feeling this way. I would actually think I was bipolar if I didn't know about spirit, the energy and all that stuff. And then boom, I have a breakthrough and I'm like, I'm back. I'm like, geez, I wish I was told this as well.
Yeah, a couple of women actually reached out to me that way and spoke basically in that way, that they felt bipolar. They felt like they were getting these huge highs and then massive lows. And with these energy, with this energy influx as well, your body, like we said at the beginning, your body is going to have to process this plasma, tonic, whatever energy. It's all to, like, so to speak, get rid of the density in your body, and so that you're more like in your light body, in your crystalline body. So what a lot of people will find is that they'll start to find the sparkles under their skin. Did you look for those at all, Victoria? There's, like, I shared a post where, like, if you tilt your skin, your hands, or people will comment on your face, there's these gold sparkles, and you'll see them under the skin, and you'll see them under your nails. And I shared it on my page one night, and then I had all these people going, oh, look at my sparkles, look at my sparkles. But it's the people that are really feeling these influxes really powerfully are becoming crystalline much faster. And all that crystalline means is that you're better able to hold the energy, you're better able to hold the light. You'll probably get bouts of just severe exhaustion where it's enough for you to hold your head up straight. When that happens, know that you're going through another big kind of plasma wave or plasma flux, and your body is changing again. You'll find then that you have this fantastic clarity, or something bumps up in your work or your healing work or your relationships. And this is where we're at. This is where we're at. Some people get the sparkles in their hair, which is amazing. I had a friend that shared a picture, and you can see the crystalline sparkles in the hair. But try it, anyone who's on, try it later. Try it when you're in good light. I'm in not great light there now, but you just
That's actually so interesting. My daughter is literally just like one glitter. And I've always said, look at her. I called her Goldilocks because her hair's golden. She is like literally like a magical fairy.
Yeah.
I know I'm a little bit biased.
She is.
I look at her and her hair today, she's just like, she's like one of the, on Trolls. I don't know if you've watched Trolls because you're bigger. Yeah. But she's like the glitter troll. Like, I just look at her and I go, you're just magical. Every day I just go, I don't know what I'm doing to her. I'm probably screwing her up, but I'm always like, you're just so beautiful and magical.
Oh, all day long in this house, you're amazing. Oh my God, you're just so gorgeous. The boys, you're so handsome. They're like, Mom, stop. But they love it, like, really. Jamie asked there, sorry, Victoria, what's the difference between a medium and a psychic, or psychics, the fortune tellers? The difference between a medium and a psychic. Now, you get a lot of people saying all mediums are psychics, but not all psychics are mediums, which I think is bullshit, right? It just means that you haven't developed one thing over another. Sorry, the sun is actually shining here. So a psychic will read your energy, right? So a psychic will look at Victoria and say, you didn't sleep in the past 24 hours, you had broccoli for your dinner. They'll pick up just things that were in Victoria's field. A medium will channel spirit, angels, dogs, loved ones, and it will come through in information in the body, sometimes through the body. So the medium is picking up this energy from spirit, also reading the energy of the person. But a psychic can develop into a medium if they want to. Some people don't want to. I know lots of people that are just happy with the psychic. They don't want to be mediums at all. So they'll read cards, or they'll use a pendulum or crystal ball, or they'll just read the energy of the person. But they don't want to go into the mediumship because it freaks them out. So that's kind of the difference, really. A psychic can become a medium if they work at it and they train and tune themselves into it. A medium is a psychic, by just definition of the word. So I hope that helped.
Yeah, I'm definitely more
fairy as well. Rael is gorgeous.
To get our fairy girls together. I totally believe in fairies since I've had my daughter. I'm like, oh my God. I said to her something about fairies, and she goes, and I go, well, do you believe in fairies? Oh, she goes, how were fairies born? This was our tonight's dinner talk, and I went, I don't really know. What do you know about that? As I say, and she goes, I don't know. And I go, I don't really know. Maybe maybe we can't see them. Maybe they're made of light and sparkles. Maybe they're an energy. And she goes, no, actually, Mum, remember that time I saw the fairy on my hand? They're definitely real. And I was like, right. We keep eating our broccoli.
You're getting taught by your own children.
Oh, wow. Yeah. And I mean, that's the way it should be.
Being clairsentient means that you pick up all the information through your body. Mediumistically, I would feel a lot of my energy clairsentiently. So if I'm working and spirit are coming through, sometimes they come right through my body. So I'll feel their physical characteristics. As a medium, you might feel drawn to your stomach, and then you have a visual that their dad had stomach cancer or whatever. So one can feed the other. But being a clairsentient doesn't necessarily make you a medium. It just means that you have the ability to tune in if you want to. It's all just deciding. Some people see it straight off the bat, and they'll see spirit around the bed and they whatever. Other people make a conscious choice down the line that they want to connect. I'm laughing at myself.
Some people seem to have control.
If I'm looking at Rael and I should be looking at you, I'm hilarious that way. I look at the picture of the person as if the person is looking through the picture. Yeah, that's me.
Yeah. Oh, funny. Yeah, it's real interesting because I feel, and because I've only really been doing this, I've only been doing it for a job this year, in all honesty, online reading. Yeah, for a job. But I feel it, and I will literally start off with a card reading, and then all of a sudden I'll put the cards down and I'll be like, okay, I've got a man here. I can't see the man. I can't hear the man. I can't feel but then all of a sudden I'll be like, okay, I have a sense there's a man. He's this tall. He's this wide. His personality is this. He's showing me his hair. Oh, he has no hair. And the story starts to piece together. And then all of a sudden He shows me his heart. And all of this is through sensing. So I sense it and I feel it. And then I go, okay, now he's standing next to you with his hand on the shoulder, which is support for me. So all of a sudden I know what that stuff means. And then I'll start getting a tingling and I say to them, have you been seeing stuff? Because generally for every medium, it's a different thing. And then I'll be like, whoa, have you been downloading information or having funny dreams, or how is this or how is that? So, but you never know how it comes. And I used to go and to have readings and be like, take off my ring, hide myself, have my rosary beads, say 1,000 Hail Marys in case it's a witch and they're going to like send me to hell. Oh my God. And then like they'd tell me all the stuff and I'd be like, well, they didn't really tell me that much. And it's like, guys, we're here to guide you and your loved ones that come through. We're just doing what some people don't have the balls to do, which is actually stop and connect for certain reasons. Maybe they don't have, maybe it's too emotional or whatever, or maybe they don't know how to tap in. But the stuff that's coming through now is just.
I think a lot of it, I think for me, my mother was very sensitive, but I had like, she was terrified and everything was evil. Everything was ghosts and pukas and all this Irish fucking scary stories of the banshee and all of that. So I grew up with massive amounts of fear around it, massive amounts of, oh my God. So the same way when the light language started coming through me, it was all these voices and all these like human voices as well, you know, and I thought I was possessed because of the way I was raised. So I had no one in the family really that would understand that. So it is upbringing, a lot of it, a lot of why people are afraid to go into it. It took me a long time to decide. Like I was 41 before I decided I wanted to work professionally as a medium. And I went and sat in a circle for 2 years to develop, to see what I had, to see if I could actually be of service to people. So it's not something you rush into because there's a lot goes with it, as I'm sure you know. Working as a medium is an extremely intimate thing. People are allowing you access to their memories, to their relationships, to their inner emotions. So you could connect to someone's father, and because you love your own father, you might think that's a nice thing, and then the person is in complete resistance because their relationship with their father was fractured or whatever. And you have to be very, very, like, I think I came to it in my 40s because I was emotionally grounded enough in my 40s to do it. That's not saying people in their 20s can't. I just know for me, I had enough heft at that point. I had had children. I was married. I had had a very interesting home life myself. So I could offer those perspectives to people. But it's not something, I remember getting a reading, I think I was around 38, 39, and this lady said to me, Marlene, you have it all, you can do it all, but don't be in a hurry. She said, you're going to deal with the deepest, darkest levels of emotion that people have. And you're going to have to be able to hold that energy and not go under, which kind of freaked me out. But I understand now what she meant. So I know with all the will in the world, people think it's a glamorous thing. And I think it's, you know, this great party trick. A lot of people do. But it's not. It's you're really going into someone's soul, someone's imprints, someone's memories. And you have to be extremely respectful and gentle with a lot of people because they're afraid.
And yeah, like there's a fear involved. I know for me, I had to drop a ton. I did a lot of self-development, a lot. Went through this massive spiritual awakening, that's like when the spirit was too intense. It was way too intense. I was like, what do you want? Like out loud. And I was like, I've had enough. But look, I had to go through all this stuff, and I had to drop judgment. I do not judge people like I used to. I used to be, I'm like in my late 30s now, but I used to literally be be so judgmental because I was living from the conditioning of my upbringing, of what I thought was right. And I did a post on this today as well. What I think is right, I had to be right. I had to back the right person. But now I just think everything's an interesting point of view. And there's always a different perspective. And it's no skin off my nose what other people believe. Because I know what I believe. And it's about when people come to a medium, you choose that person because you feel safe with them. And so I'm so honored to be able to do readings. It fills my heart.
If you don't mind me just saying this, Victoria, if you are wanting to get a reading, I would always research the person, go online, see what they're like online, see what their message makes you feel. If you can get like personal recommendations, even better, because I have had some quackadoodle readings, and I have had readings with people that scared the Jesus out of me. And you know, I know that there's readers as well who are just horrific. Like there was this reader told this woman, she lost her son to suicide, and the reader told her that her son was crying out for her from the spirit world, crying out for her. The woman, like I heard it third hand, but the woman was in pieces, you know. And you'll get these stupid fucking readers that will tell you there's evil in you, and there's, you know, just all sorts of whack. My advice is, if you're going to a reader, you're already sensitive, okay? Do your research on them. If you're sitting in front of them, even if you've paid, if you're a few minutes in and you're not feeling it, cut the reading short. Honestly, cut it short and just say, you know, I'm not feeling it. If the reader is genuine, you'll get a refund. If they're not, you're best off away from it anyway. I know that's pulling the vibe down a bit, but you have to do your research with readers as well, and just make sure that, you know, you're taking care of yourself. Because if you're high vibe,
there's different types of readers as well.
There is.
It depends on what you're after. I sit there and I say to people when they come to me, I want a reading. I have readings overseas now as well, which is really cool. And I say to them, I will not tell you your future. That's the first thing I say. And I think it's really important to explain to people. I say, this is what I do. This is what I'm going to give you. Your loved ones may come through, but I'm a guided reader. So what I do is I do a guided healing. You receive a healing with the reading, and it's usually like an hour to 2.5 hours. A guided healing session is 2.5 hours. And just like you do with your light language, I'm just like, I'm feeling and I'm seeing this white light just going to them. And then I'll be saying things and they go, you're freaking me out. How do you know what I'm thinking? And I go, because I'm actually tapped into your energy. And I actually give them like a lesson on what energy is and how they can utilize stuff. They don't come in and just get a reading.
Yeah, you're taking care of them. In my opinion, from looking at different readers, because I book into different readers and healers just to see what's out there. And, you know, there's a broad spectrum. There's a broad spectrum of the kind of healers that will take care of you, that will have aftercare and check in with you and see how you're doing. And there is a broad spectrum. So it's just, I know from my own, this is why I'm saying it, when I was very vulnerable and I was going from reader to reader, healer to healer, and I wasn't being held, I wasn't being, even if one of them had said, you need to be in a circle, you need to develop. No one ever said that. Why? You know, one person, that lady that just said, you have to be emotionally ready. She's the only one who ever said, you know, maybe sitting in a development circle would be good for you. So what I'm trying to say is, when I was very vulnerable, there was a few healers, readers that kicked me while I'm down because they wanted me to keep coming back.
Yeah. And they want to like hurt you. They want to bring you down. If you've got a person, a medium or a psychic that's in a lower level, just like friendship, just like if you're dating someone, they've got a lower frequency. No. They will bring you down to make you feel like shit, so then you come down to their level. They don't even know they're doing it. It's just like when you're having an argument with your partner, they feel like shit, so they bring you down and you're like, No, you're bringing me down.
That's
See you later.
exactly it.
It's vibrational, isn't
So
it?
just like I said, it's just to be very honor yourself. The answers are always within you, even if you're feeling very vulnerable and very low, and you feel like you don't know shit. You know everything. You just need to
Yeah.
slow down and meditate a little bit. Let all the emotion come up, and then just keep connecting back in with yourself. You ask that you'll be guided to the highest vibration person that you can handle at the time, and always bring spirit into where you go with your readings. I know I had to learn about the bad types so that I could be a better one. So that was my path. So I don't regret it. But just for people out there that are feeling vulnerable and shaky, do your research first. Enough said on that.
And go with your gut. Do your research and then go with your gut. Does this feel light and expansive? Do I want to have a reading with this person?
I'm
and then
excited.
If you go,
you should be kind of, woo, you should be kind of bubbly and excited. Yeah.
You should not leave a reading feeling like shit. You should leave a reading. No. You should always leave a reading feeling like, wow, my life is going to be amazing. I don't know what it holds, but I have the tools to choose.
At least feel calm. At least feel a little bit better about what you were worried about when you went in, depending on the intensity of your situation. But you should never feel, and I felt like that. I've come out worse from readings than I went in. So that's the only reason I say it. Just really, really tune in. All the answers are there anyway with you.
Someone needs to hear it. Someone needs to hear this.
That's why I'm talking about. There was one name popped up there, and then this all came out. So, so whoever needs it,
someone that really needs to hear this. Whoever is just ringing up online mediums, and they don't know what the hell they're doing. They're getting a little. They're impatient with their life. Stop.
Yeah.
Breathe.
It was just
go for a walk
name,
on the beach.
Like, you got to say this.
Yeah. And I mean, we've all been there. We've all been there like, oh my gosh, I need to go have a reading to find out where I'm going, what I'm doing. And then we've listened to that medium. But the truth is there's so many possibilities. There's so many different things. And a good medium will connect you to your loved one, but also they will give you guide that you need to have the best life that you deserve.
Yeah.
So,
connecting.
Thank you so much.
Whereas laughing out loud because she can empathize with it. I don't think it's what we were just talking about. I think that was up there earlier.
No, I think it was before. I'll come back and actually message you.
Do you want to open it up to questions, Victoria?
Yeah, if there are any questions, I've just picked up my cards, my chakra cards, because I thought, as a general rule of thumb, I'm not going to give everyone a reading, but I thought it'd be really interesting. There's a lot of collective stuff going on, tons of it. And I talked to about 3 friends today, and I said, I'm going to explode. I need to start running again. Shit. I've had the best day, but I had to go have a lavender bath, for goodness sake.
Yeah.
And
you're on that polarity. I'm on the polarity then of.
Hey, I was there yesterday.
Catatonic, honest to God, just absolutely wiped. I honor it now, though. I know we said that earlier, but I honor it now, Victoria. Before I would get very upset, and I would be like, oh my God, I need to take iron, I need to look after my energy, and I would get all in my head about it. And now I know. You see, the hardest thing to realize, but once you realize, you'll be fine, is that when these things happen and you feel really, really tired and unmotivated and, you can't do anything, if you can understand that energetically, you're like the swan on the surface, right? So the swan is gliding along, and then underneath there's all this, motion with the swan's feet. So if you can see your energetic life as the swan's feet, and your body is the swan gliding on the surface. So when you're called to just veg and relax, and then you're making yourself feel guilty because you should be doing the laundry or you should be doing the shopping, don't. Just sit there, put a blanket over you, just really, really veg. And they'll sometimes take you offline. So you'll feel like if you're meditating, you might wake up like that, like a sloth. But it's just that they're doing so much. They're doing so much on the, on the ethers, on the astral level, on the light body level. And you'll find that as you move through that, then you get this huge burst of inspiration. You feel more sparky, you feel more like yourself again. And, you know, it's just about tuning in and allowing yourself that time to just decompress and just do whatever is in front of you to do. And know that energetically you're doing masses amounts of work, especially if you're really called to be kind of vegetative and sleepy. You're doing huge amounts of work. You, on the other hand, because you're so much energy, you're meant to put that out there for us, for the catatonics. So get out and run, do your painting, do whatever it is to push your energy out. And it's all like.
But 2 days ago, it took me 3 days to put away my groceries. I had potatoes in a box sitting on my table for 3 days, and I'm like, for fuck's sake, I just need to put away the goddamn potatoes. My washing pile, I've just managed to fold it today. So this has not been like this. But I just pulled a couple of cards as well. I just wanted to say, we weren't taught to be okay, to be tired. We weren't taught to be okay like this.
Especially as women, we're meant to be perky and sociable and, you know, on. We're meant to be cleaning our houses, and we're meant to be, you know, whatever the fuck we're meant to be. But
it's not real.
We just need to drop all of it. We just need to drop all of it. And on another level, the whole thing about how we should look, how we should act, how we should behave, all needs to go. It all needs to go. And I do feel this is what this energy is doing, because you see more activists now. You see more women that are like, my fat body is amazing and I love it. Or, you know, different things, different voices coming through. People of all shapes, forms.
It's like this. It's awareness, opening. Everyone's opening.
Yeah. But it's the energy, you see. It's this energy that's coming in, that's cleansing all these programs, all these patterns. So again, when you're really tired or really wired, you're shedding these patterns and these programs so that you're back in touch with your natural God-given energy that you came in here to do your original thing. You're not going to sound like others, look like others, and that's perfect. That's good. If you're copying someone else, you're getting it wrong. You need to be fully on. You know, you can be inspired by people, but not copy them. Use it as a platform to launch your own way of doing it, your own way of being.
You can't copy. You just can't, because you're just, everyone is unique, you know?
Yeah.
So Marlene, I'll show these quick cards, and I'd love a little bit of light language from you.
Yeah.
Before we head off. I know you've got a whole day ahead of you. So guys, abundance and balance. So this is for all of you. I just tapped in. They are both red. So it's really important to ground at the moment. And the thing is, look at this balance here. It's a big swirl. To me, that's saying exactly what we're saying. Tired, excited, yin and yang, high and low, hot and cold. It's all of that kind of polarity stuff as well. So please, like Marlene was saying, just don't beat yourself up if you're not on 24/7. I think the strongest thing coming through with these, I don't know if you can see them, if it's a bit kind of blurry, is the red. So grounding, red is the root chakra. So it's all about that root, which is just on the pubic bone, going through actually the energy. And to ground yourself, put your feet on the ground, breathe. We stop breathing when we, don't we? We literally stop breathing. Like when we're stressed, we're like walking around. So breathe, stand up straight. Yeah. And what else for grounding? Wear red, you know, like wear red, be more present. So bring yourself
red knickers are great.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Oh, I don't have
I used to have actually my circle leader used to always say that, wear red knickers. Wear red when you're on platform, you know, when you have to stand up and do a dem. But she would always say wear red knickers or red socks to boost your sense of power.
I've never even thought about that. I've always been like red lipstick. I think also as well, when people get this grounding down, if they can manage, because there's a lot of energy happening from now to the end of the year, what all the intentions this year are going to go into next year, and then they're going to kind of come fruition. So I'm booking in tons of workshops now because now everything's popping, but it's also that balance. It's going with the flow of it, I think. But this abundance, I think abundance is that polarity again, but there is a real big, strong abundance. And I think that's going to actually be coming in if you kind of get the balance going on now, kind of thing. So it has to be finding that balance for you, which is different for everyone else. Marlene wants to have a sleep. I want to go party, and then tomorrow we might swap over. So there's no wrongness. It's just about where you're at. So yeah. And I think next year there's going to be quite a few different possibilities for everybody as well, which is pretty amazing. And the fire signs, everyone's going to be on. Yay. That's all I'm going to say, because I'll talk for hours. Ground, people, ground.
Okay. So I'm going to do a little bit of light language for anyone who hasn't heard it before. It's a soul language. We all have it. You may find that it activates by listening to me if you're ready for it. You may find sensations in your body. My advice is to just close your eyes. You can look at me if you want to, and just receive it. Just let it go in where it needs to go in. I'm going to hold the intention that everyone receives exactly what they need from this now. Because Victoria pulled cards on the root chakra, I'm going to hold the intention that any distortion in the root chakra be cleared. So you may feel that as a sensation in your root. You may get memories of, how your mother and father talked about money, how they were in relationship to each other, how you feel about your body. So the root is all about your security, your sense of knowing that you're held and knowing that you're going to be safe. So I'll just do a little bit. So I'm going to start there now. Rature se toro otoro ich etera enche toro ot kinikas toro och anamara ot kotakichu toro ot kan ich toro opotoraka. Mandiras olo ishikara enche toro kutuk enche tera achukotaka enche chipawa. Zanji chekwa eche chinchu och ishka inchichu achepatika. Rajan chawa, ranza chawa, chenche chawa, cheche chawa kasaswa. Rande tawa chutiragatas. Rande dere endura is alla ishugrono ishimara utura. Rande da solo etana isse. Rande de sana ochekana. Rande da ot anekana ishira amo otona isse. Shutane isana ish ara tono ish o etana amira okwana. Maleta nere sotoro ush ora enera maratono kasa. Randera sotoro uchotora. Randera kasane ish oro moro etanere. Rotane kasa kodakachi kotakana masa tanangacha torakas echutakata. Randera katos torakas ekara anara anchodora mara. Lotane kasa. Shechichi kote kotakatan chitoro ototo kotakataka chituro andaraka sanama watetaka. Rande de gatto sotoro och tona och etera amara. Rotana kia asana. Jetana es otona ich o echa o injigata. Randa da os onomo tana os etena ich era amo uakana. Ola inera amo ot ono os enoro ichena. Ra ichena ra ichena kas ot oma ot. Ra injera omo ot. No. So there was a lot of energy there going to the heart as well. So you may find that energy moving through. So the sacral, the root, and the heart. So that was quite strong. So, just let it saturate your cells and it will start to move in the way that it needs to and change what it needs to for you. So I hope you enjoyed that and I gave you a taste of it a little bit.
Thank you so much for that. I could feel it in my heart actually, and I was like, hang on, this is a root one. I can feel it in my heart. I actually wanted to put my hands up here at some stage, but I was just down here moving energy because I could feel.
Yeah.
That was cool. What a blessing. Thank you so much for that. Everyone has been very gifted today from your presence.
Likewise.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Marlene. Well, I'm going to let you go, and thank you everyone for joining. If you want to get in touch with Marlene, if you feel the need or the pull to have a reading, I think you're still doing online readings and stuff like that, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they can
Readings.
check the online readings and see, do they resonate with them? And First Your page has some reviews there as well. They could check those out. Area. Yeah, that's the heart chakra, Stacey. So that's where a lot of the energy went.
I got that too, Stacey.
My internet went down. Too powerful, Marlene.
What is so right about that? Awesome, guys. Yeah, so check out Marlene on YouTube as well. Like, I quite often, when I do a meditation in the afternoon, I'll put on, if I've only got like 10 minutes or whatever, I will just go on to, I actually go down the list of Marlene's stuff and I go, oh, that one. So I did the chakra one yesterday from about a year ago, and frick, man, I've listened to that before, but it was really cool. I love it. And also, if you guys feel drawn to having a reading with me, feel free to get hold of me as well. I do very similar style readings to Marlene. We're both very guided, which is great. And I'm just so honored that you have come on, and
I really enjoyed
these
it.
guys.
Thanks very much, Victoria. It was wonderful. I really enjoyed it. It was great. Thanks so much.
Cool. Thanks, Marlene. So love you guys. I'll see you later. Bye.
And that's a wrap for today. Thank you so much for joining the Release Your Blocks podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, I would love to hear from you. So please leave a review and tell me what your favorite takeaway from today was. There is so much more from where this came from. You can also find me at Holistic Energy Shifting on Facebook, where you can find more content, more coaching, and more guidance. Have a grand and glorious day, and I'll see you next time.